All right, it's time to be liberated from the chaos of working in your business. It's Scott Beebe, the head coach, the founder of the Business on Purpose podcast, where that's what we do every day, help liberate you from the chaos. Now, listen, I was in a client meeting this morning, very, very important conversation. And I want to give you the stats before I give you the exact situation. Here's the stats. We can usually ask two questions to diagnose the overall health of a business within just a couple of minutes. Number one, do you have a clear, articulated, and oft-reviewed vision story? Do you have a clear, articulated, and oftenly reviewed vision story? That's number one. Number two, do you have agenda-driven, leader-led team meetings? Do you have agenda-driven, leader-led team meetings? So I want you to think about that. Do you have an articulated, clear vision? And do you have agenda-driven, leader-led team meetings? And do those team meetings happen every single week at minimum? Between those two questions, we can usually diagnose the overall health of a business. Now, obviously, we like to look at numbers and we like to look at some other variables, but generally, I can tell a person the health of a business by just asking those two questions. Why? The vision, mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision, if you need help with that, by the way, the vision is the clarifying destination of where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, was it Yogi Berra said you'll get there every time? Vision, 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 vision. How many times do I say it? You guys have listened to this podcast over and over and over again. I think every podcast episode we talk about it, constantly going back to your vision, because where there's no vision, people go all over the place. They scatter. There's confusion. There's chaos. There's anarchy, because there's no clarifying vision. And if there's no clarifying vision, then we can generally tell what the health of the business is. The second is, if you don't have agenda-driven, leader-led meetings on a frequent basis of at least once a week, I want you to think about this metaphorically in relationship to your marriage, if you're married. If you told me that you were a person who, well, we don't really talk that much. In fact, we only talk once, I'd say every 3 weeks, But God, when we talk, it's 2 hours. And we talk about the same things over and over and over again and never get anything done. That's how we talk about team meetings, isn't it? Well, can you imagine running a household that way? Can you imagine running a relationship that way, a marriage that way? We don't talk that much. And when we do, we talk about the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And we never get anywhere. Versus we talk on a regular basis. In fact, we've protected time that Ashley and I sit down and we have conversation. We call it chair time. And usually it's out on the back porch. Sometimes a year tougher than others, whether it be weather or it might be activities or whatever it might be. But the reality is that the majority of time we carve out time to sit down and talk. Why? Because we want both quality and frequency. Some people say, well, quality is better than quantity. I like both. I want quality and frequency of communication. And in a team meeting that happens every week, that's led by an agenda, that's led by a clear leader, then you've got quality and frequency. And so if the answer to both of those questions, vision number one, meetings number two, is no and kind of, or is sort of and well, maybe, and it's not a clear absolutely, and we're 100%, well, then what happens is chaos ensues. That's why our main driver, our main goal, our mission every single day when we get up, it's why we tell you Monday's our favorite day of the week, is because it's the first day we get to help liberate small business owners from the chaos and help them to realize these real challenges, starting with vision and starting with team meetings. If you have neglected your team meeting, without consistency, without predictability, please, I beg you, I urge you, reinstall it. Now you might say, Scott, can you give me some tenets? I'll give you a couple, but more than anything, reestablish the habit of meeting. Reestablish the habit of communicating. If you don't know where you're going and you don't have a clear means of communication, it just sounds like a bad recipe, doesn't it? So here are a couple of things you can do. We've provided all the tools for you around your vision, by the way, mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. So start there. Once you've started there and you want to implement team meetings, build an agenda. Now, here's how we build our agenda. Mission and values first, tie it back to a story. One little story. Hey, what's one story this week where we really lived out our mission this week? 30 seconds. Then we go into a segment we call Big Wins. And this is where we want to share, give us a big win, either personally or professionally. It doesn't matter which, because it gives us insight into the people that we have the privilege of being able to work with. So big wins. And then once we've done that, then we go into accountability from last week's discussion. That's key. It's crucial because we don't want to keep talking about the same things over and over and over again and nothing gets done. Accountability from last week's item. The fourth thing is this week's business discussion. Now, if you follow the 12-week plan like we teach, then this is where you implant the 12-week plan. If you don't, then just pick the major systems of your business, accounting, production, marketing, sales, break those down, and then go and have your discussion around those systems. Once you're done with that, then you come back to accountability, go to accountability sheet or whatever you use for accountability, and make sure that you've got everything laid out from what you just talked about because you don't want to lose any of it. Because guess what you're going to follow back up with next week? That's right, that accountability sheet. And then the final thing, this is where a meeting gets really gold. Leave 5 to 10 minutes for team training. Pick a process, review the process. If you don't have the process, build the process. So if you do have the process, take 5 to 10 minutes to review it. If you don't have the process, take that time as a team to build it. Airtight, rock solid. If you do that and you've got a clarifying vision of where you're going, the health of your business cannot help but to increase. But you know what? Talking about it ain't going to do anything, is it? Vision without implementation, Joe Calloway, is hallucination. So let's stop hallucinating. Let's go take action and implement. And we'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.